Once upon a time there was a curious cat named Whiskers who lived in a cozy little house with his human family. Whiskers loved exploring and getting into everything he could around the house. One day, Whiskers hopped up onto the kitchen table where his human sister Ellie was doing homework. He saw that she was reading a book and seemed very focused on the pages in front of her. This made Whiskers very curious. How could Ellie stare at pages full of weird shapes and get so much meaning from them? He had to get a closer look. When Ellie got up to get a snack, Whiskers seized his chance. He jumped onto the table and batted at the book with his paws. The shape sort of looked like letters, but why would letters be so important? As he nudged the book around, it flipped open to a page that had a picture of a bowl of milk on it. Whiskers' ears perked up. He knew what milk was. This gave him an idea. If the shapes on the page could somehow create a picture of milk, maybe they actually meant something. Whiskers decided then and there that he was going to learn how to read. He waited until everyone went to bed, then sneaked back to the kitchen and dragged Ellie's book down the hall to his bed. He curled up with it and started carefully inspecting each page. The letters seemed to build into words, and the words told a story with meaning. Whiskers could start to make out letters like M, which meant milk or mouse, and C, which meant cat. His mind raced with excitement as he began piecing together how reading worked. Night after night, Whiskers snuck in reading practice. After working through Ellie's first-grade book, Whiskers was ready for something harder. The next day, while the humans were out, he snagged a book from the shelf called Kitten's First Dictionary. Whiskers could now read whole sentences like, "Cats have whiskers," and "Whiskers help cats sense their surroundings." He was amazed at all the new information he was able to unlock with his new reading skills. Over the next weeks, he read books on science, history, cooking, and more. He could now understand the human world around him so much better. One day, Ellie couldn't find her homework. She looked all over but it was nowhere to be found. In a panic, she sat at the kitchen table with her head in her hands. Just then, Whiskers sauntered up and dropped the missing homework right in front of Ellie. She stared in shock as Whiskers meowed proudly. Over the next few days, Whiskers started bringing Ellie her books whenever she needed them. He even used his paw to point out words to quiz her on spelling. Ellie was amazed at how smart her cat had become. She decided Whiskers deserved a reward. The next day, Ellie took Whiskers to the bookstore in town. She told the shop owner all about Whiskers' reading talents. The owner was so impressed that he offered Whiskers his own plastic library card along with a tower of new books to take home. Whiskers purred with excitement as they left the shop with bags full of adventure stories, joke books, and tales of brave cats from history. Now whenever Ellie was busy, Whiskers could visit the library himself and get new reading material. He became known around town as the amazing reading cat. As the years passed, Whiskers read more and more. He read about philosophy, economics, art, and even started dabbling in fiction writing himself. He still loved his adventures around the house, but reading allowed him to explore the world from the comfort of his cozy bed. Ellie went on to college and was so impressed with Whiskers that she majored in animal intelligence studies. She wrote her thesis on how reading advanced his cognitive abilities. As for Whiskers, he was just happy to share his love of books and learning. His reading hobby taught him you never know what you may be capable of until you try. Once upon a time there was a young boy named Ahmed who lived in a small village. One day while playing in the desert, Ahmed stumbled upon an old brass lamp buried in the sand. He picked it up and rubbed the dirt off of it. All of a sudden, a magical genie appeared out of the spout of the lamp. "I am the genie of the lamp," announced the genie. "For freeing me from my prison, I will grant you 3 wishes." Ahmed could not believe his luck. A real-life genie was going to grant him 3 wishes. At first Ahmed was too shocked to speak. When he finally found his voice again, he made his first wish. "I wish for a never-ending supply of my favorite treats." In an instant, piles of Ahmed's favorite candies and treats appeared around him. There was licorice, chocolate, jelly beans, lollipops, every treat Ahmed had ever dreamed of was right there in front of him. He gobbled up mouthful after mouthful of sweet sugary candy until his tummy could take no more. Then Ahmed began to think carefully about what he should wish for next. After thinking it over, Ahmed made his second wish. "I wish to be the richest boy in the world." The genie snapped his fingers and suddenly Ahmed was covered in the finest silks and gold jewelry. He looked around and saw mounds of shimmering treasure surrounding him as far as the eye could see. Ahmed ran his fingers through piles of gold and diamonds, amazed that he now possessed more riches than any king or sultan ever had. As overjoyed as Ahmed was with his newfound wealth, he tried not to let the money and valuables distract him from making his third and final wish a good one. After much thought, Ahmed made his final wish. "For my last wish, I want to bring peace and prosperity to my village. I wish for the war with our neighbors to end, and for all the people I know to be happy and healthy." The genie nodded approvingly at Ahmed. With a mighty clap of his hands, the genie summoned his magic and granted the generous wish. When Ahmed returned to his village, he was overjoyed to find people dancing in the streets and celebrating the end of the horrible war. The land was fertile and farms were overflowing with bountiful crops. Everyone had plenty of food, and even the poorest beggar found gold coins left on their doorstep. Ahmed was happy to see the people he cared about so much now living in a thriving community. Years went by and Ahmed lived a long and happy life in the village, even after the wish's magic wore off. He never told anyone about the magical lamp and wishes, but always remembered the gift he had been given and how important it was to help others. Ahmed's unselfish final wish ended up bringing prosperity not only to his village, but also to himself by letting him live in a peaceful and friendly home. The story of Ahmed shows that kindness and generosity can be life-changing gifts, both to ourselves and to others around us. He learned that friendship and community are some of the most valuable treasures we can possess in life. Ahmed's thoughtfulness brought good fortune not only through the genie's magic, but through setting an example of compassion that kept on inspiring those around him.